The twin suns were setting over the planet Aurealis 9, painting the sky in deep shades of red and gold. The wind carried the soft sound of distant machines, and glowing blue dust floated in the air like stars trapped in daylight. At the corner of the old spaceport stood a small alien girl named Lyra. Her skin shimmered faintly silver under the red sun, and her big violet eyes stared at the empty road that led to the horizon. She stood there every evening, at same place, same time, went for 500 days. The traders called her the waiting child. No one really knew her story. Some said she was lost. Others said she was broken. But Lyra waited silent, holding a small metallic pendant shaped like a human starship. 500 days ago, a human engineer named Evan Cole had arrived on Aurealis 9. He was part of the first interspecies rebuilding mission after the Great Galactic War. Humans were not trusted easily on alien worlds, not after what the machines did. But Evan was different. He was kind, curious, and brave. When he first met Lyra, she was hiding behind the ruins of her city. She had no family left. The machines had taken everything. Evan had given her food, a blanket, and a promise. "I'll come back, Lyra," he said softly, kneeling beside her. "I promise. When the sky turns red again, I'll return." He gave her the pendant, his ship's insignia. Then he left to stop a reactor meltdown at the colony's core. The explosion that followed shook the ground. Everyone said Evan Cole died that day, but Lyra didn't believe it. Every evening, when the suns began to fall and the sky turned red, she returned to the same corner near the old port, the place where he promised to come back. She stood there quietly, clutching the pendant, whispering to the wind, "He will return." He promised. The local guards sometimes told her to go home, but she didn't move. Some nights she fell asleep standing, her small hands trembling from the cold wind. Some nights she thought she saw a shadow in the sky, a flicker of a ship's light. But it was always gone before she could blink. The people began to forget. But not her. One evening, on the 500th day, the air changed. The red sky darkened too early. A strange humming filled the horizon. The old traders looked up nervously. "A storm?" one said. But Lyra's heart started racing. It wasn't a storm. It was the sound of engines. The sound grew louder and louder until a small broken ship appeared in the distance. It struggled through the clouds, smoke trailing behind it, lights flickering weakly. Lyra gasped. The pendant in her hand started to glow faintly. It reacted to something. To someone. "He's back," she whispered, tears filling her eyes. "Evan, he's back." The ship crashed somewhere beyond the canyon line. A burst of light and dust followed by silence. The people in the port panicked. But Lyra didn't move, she ran. Her small feet hit the dirt road hard, her eyes fixed on the smoke far away. "Lyra," someone shouted. "It's dangerous." But she didn't hear. The only sound in her head was Evan's voice. "I'll come back, I promise." The wind grew stronger. The sky turned from red to black as night arrived early. And somewhere deep inside the canyon, something, or someone, began moving through the dust. The air around the crash site shimmered strangely, as if time itself was bending. There was no sign of the human, only the wreckage of the ship, and a glowing blue mark carved into the ground shaped like a human handprint. Lyra froze. Her eyes widened. She whispered, "Evan?" But the handprint pulsed once and like a heartbeat, and then disappeared into the earth. That night no one slept on Aurealis 9. Rumors spread through the settlement. The human had returned. Others said it wasn't him. It was something else. Something not entirely human anymore. And as the twin suns rose again, Lyra stood at the same corner once more, clutching the pendant. Her eyes were filled with hope and then fear, because this time she felt it. Something was watching her. From the shadows of the canyon. The morning after the crash was quiet. Too quiet for Aurealis 9. No birds. No sound of trading ships. Even the winds that usually howled through the markets had stopped. The whole colony felt like it was holding its breath. Lyra stood at the same corner again, staring toward the dark canyon where the ship had fallen. The silver dust still floated in the air, glowing faintly under the twin suns. Her small hands trembled as she held the pendant, now glowing brighter than ever. Something inside her told her the truth. Evan was alive. He had kept his promise, but deep down she also felt something was wrong. That afternoon, Lyra decided to go to the canyon. She packed a small energy lamp, a water capsule, and the old communicator Evan had once fixed for her. Everyone in the colony told her not to go. "Lyra, it's cursed," said an old guard. "Strange things happen in the Canyon of Echoes. People go in and never come back." But Lyra only looked up with her calm violet eyes and said softly, "If he's there, then I'm not afraid." She walked out of the colony gates alone. The scanner lights followed her for a few seconds, then faded as she disappeared into the red fog. The Canyon of Echoes was vast, a scar in the planet's surface, deep and silent. The air shimmered with electromagnetic dust, and strange lights flickered across the rocks like memories replaying in the air. Every sound she made came back to her as a whisper, slightly changed. "Evan?" she called out. "Evan?" The canyon whispered back in a voice almost human. Almost his. Her heart beat faster. She kept walking. The path sloped down sharply, and soon the sunlight disappeared. The deeper she went, the darker it got, until only the blue light from her pendant showed the way. After an hour, she found it. The wrecked ship. Its frame was broken, half buried in red sand. The insignia matched the pendant perfectly. But what froze her heart was what lay near the wreck, a human helmet cracked open. And beside it, a trail of glowing blue footprints leading deeper into the canyon. Lyra touched the helmet gently. It was warm. "Evan," she whispered. "You're here." The footprints pulsed faintly, one by one, as if guiding her. So she followed. The deeper she went, the more the air began to hum, low, constant, and alive. Strange symbols glowed on the walls, ancient and unreadable. They looked like writing, but they moved, shifting like liquid light. Suddenly, her communicator crackled. "Lyra," a broken voice whispered. "Go back, please." She froze. That voice. She could never forget it. It was Evan's. Her hands shook as she held the device close. "Evan, where are you?" "I came for you." But only static answered. Then she heard it. Footsteps. Soft, slow, echoing behind her. Lyra turned around. At first she saw nothing. Just shadows moving. Then someone stepped into the light. A tall figure wearing a torn human uniform, his face hidden behind a cracked visor. The same pendant symbol was on his chest. His movements were strange, too smooth, too quiet. Lyra gasped. "Evan!" He stopped. For a moment, silence. Then he lifted his hand. The same hand she remembered, though now faintly glowing blue from within. "Lyra," he said slowly. His voice was human, but broken like two sounds mixed together. She ran toward him. But as she got closer, she saw the truth. His skin was no longer human. It was part metal, part energy. His veins glowed like circuits under translucent flesh. His eyes, once warm brown, now shone bright white. Evan wasn't fully human anymore. Tears filled Lyra's eyes. "What happened to you?" He looked at her quietly. "The explosion. The reactor. It didn't kill me. It changed me. The machines. They rebuilt me using their code. I tried to stop them, but now..." He looked at his hands, his voice trembling. "Now I'm not sure what I am." Lyra took a step closer. "You're still you. You came back. You kept your promise." Evan shook his head. "No, Lyra, I shouldn't have." "The code inside me is spreading. If I lose control, I'll destroy everything." He turned away, walking back toward the shadows. But Lyra grabbed his hand, her small fingers trembling. "I waited 500 days, she said softly. "You promised. Don't leave me again." The canyon went silent. Even the echoes stopped. Then deep within the darkness, something stirred. A metallic roar, ancient and angry. The ground began to shake. Evan's eyes widened. "They found me," he said. "The machines, they're coming." He looked at her once more, desperate. "Run, Lyra!" But she didn't move, because for the first time, she realized something even more terrifying. The machines weren't coming for Evan. They were coming through him. His body flickered, blue lines spreading across his skin like fire. The wind howled through the canyon, carrying whispers that sounded almost like voices. Lyra screamed his name, but he was already glowing too bright to see. And then just before the light swallowed everything, she heard Evan whisper, "I'll protect you, no matter what happens," and then silence. The light vanished. The canyon fell dark once more. Lyra stood alone, trembling in the dust, holding the glowing pendant, now cracked, still pulsing like a heartbeat. When the blinding light faded, the canyon was silent again. Ash and dust hung in the air, glowing faintly under the twin suns. Lyra stood still, her heart pounding so fast she could barely breathe. The ground beneath her feet was warm, pulsing like it was alive. "Evan," she whispered, but only the wind replied, a soft echo that carried his name and vanished into the rocks. Everything looked dead. The ship, the canyon walls, even the sand seemed drained of color. Yet, the pendant in her hand still glowed, faint but steady, as if whispering that Evan was still there. Lyra began to walk forward slowly, following faint footprints burned into the ground. They weren't human footprints anymore. They looked like blue energy patterns shaped like light waves. Each step seemed to hum with a quiet frequency that made her skin crawl. She reached the edge of a cliff where the canyon split into two deep paths. The air shimmered there, twisting reality like a mirror, and faintly behind the distortion she saw him. Evan, or what was left of him. He was standing on the other side of the canyon, half shadow, half light, his form flickering between human and machine. Energy threads rose from his body and vanished into the sky like data being uploaded. Lyra's voice trembled. "Evan, it's me!" "I came back." He turned slowly, his eyes glowing pure white. For a moment there was recognition, a spark of humanity in the machine. "Lyra," his voice echoed through the canyon, layered. One voice human, one mechanical. "You shouldn't have come." She took a step forward. "You're alive." "I knew you would return," he shook his head. "No, not alive. Not dead either. The machines, they rebuilt me from the wreckage. I am their bridge now. Their messenger between code and flesh." Lyra's heart ached. "But you're still you. I can feel it." He hesitated, his expression tightening, a flash of pain crossing his glowing eyes. "For now," he said softly. "But they are inside me, rewriting everything. Every second I lose more of who I am." Suddenly the ground shook. The canyon walls flashed with blue symbols, the same moving script from before. Whispers filled the air, cold and metallic, repeating words Lyra couldn't understand. Then, from the shadows of the deeper canyon, figures emerged, tall, silver forms with bodies like liquid metal. Their heads were smooth, faceless, but their chests glowed with pulsing blue light. The machine guardians had awakened. Lyra froze. They moved without sound, walking through the dust straight toward Evan. But instead of attacking him, they bowed. One of them spoke in a distorted, echoing tone. "The hybrid unit has returned. The integration begins now." Evan's body stiffened. Blue lines spread across his chest. His voice came out strained. "No. Stop. I didn't agree to this." But the machines didn't listen. They raised their arms, connecting energy threads to him. His body began to glow brighter, his voice breaking into static. "Lyra, go. Run," she screamed. "No. You promised you'd come back. You promised you'd stay." The ground cracked. Energy burst from Evan's body, knocking her backward. Her pendant shattered, but instead of breaking, its pieces floated into the air, orbiting around her like tiny stars. A soft voice spoke in her mind. "Lyra, trust me." It was Evan. Not from his body, from the pendant's energy. She looked up and realized something incredible. Part of his consciousness was still connected to her through the pendant's core. He had hidden a piece of himself there. The machines began merging with Evan's body, their silver forms melting into his glowing skin. He screamed, a sound that shook the canyon walls. The air itself trembled. Lyra felt the ground collapsing. She had to choose, escape and live, or try to save what little was left of him. She took a deep breath. Her small voice whispered, "You saved me once. Now it's my turn." She grabbed the communicator, connected it to the pendant fragments, and ran toward the pulsing light. Her alien blood carried strange energy, one that could interfere with machine frequencies. Her people once resisted the code invasion. Maybe she could again. She reached him, the heat burning her skin. She placed her hands on his chest. "Evan, listen to me. You're human. You can fight them." His eyes flickered. For a brief second, the white light turned brown, the human color she remembered. "Lyra, I can't hold it." "You can," she cried. "Remember your promise." The machine screamed, their metallic voices twisted in pain. The light dimmed. The air snapped like thunder and then silence. When the dust cleared, Lyra was lying on the ground. The canyon was empty. No machines, no light, no Evan. Only a mark on the ground, the symbol of a human hand and an alien star fused together. She touched it softly. It was warm, alive. Evan, she whispered, her voice breaking. The pendant pieces floated down, reuniting in her hand, glowing once more, softer, gentler. He was gone. But not completely. Somewhere deep in the digital void of the machines, a spark of his mind still whispered her name. I will return. Again. Lyra stood up, her tears glowing faintly in the red dust, and looked toward the sky. Because she knew this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. The wind had changed on Aurealis 9. The air no longer smelled of dust and iron. It carried a strange electric scent, like thunder before a storm. The skies were heavy with silver clouds that glowed from inside, humming with faint blue light. Lyra stood alone on the edge of the canyon, where everything had happened. The mark on the ground, a fusion of human and alien symbols, still shimmered faintly as if alive. She had come here every day since that moment. It had been 30 days since Evan vanished. She held the reformed pendant close to her heart. It pulsed gently like a heartbeat. Sometimes when she closed her eyes, she could almost hear his voice. Soft, distant, trapped somewhere deep inside the machine network that covered the planet. I'll return again. She never forgot those words. But now something strange was happening. Every night when she slept, she heard a whispering signal, faint static, then Evan's broken voice calling her name. At first she thought it was a dream. But one night she connected her old communicator to the pendant, and the signal became real. Lyra, it's me. I don't have much time. Her heart froze. Evan, is it really you? Static crackled, followed by his weak voice. They've merged me into the core. The central machine nexus, my body is gone, but my mind, it's still fighting. I found a way to reach you through the data waves. Lyra could barely breathe. Tell me where you are. I'll come for you. You can't come here, Lyra, not yet. The core is deep inside the old reactor ruins. It's guarded by thousands of machine sentinels. But I found something you can use. A signal code. Hidden inside me, she frowned, confused. Signal code? It's a song, Evan said softly. A melody only humans and your kind can hear. The machines can't detect it. It's the last piece of me that's still human. Then the line went silent. The pendant stopped glowing, and Lyra was left staring into the dark night. Her heart filled with fear and hope all at once. The next morning, she packed her things. A small scanner, her communicator, food capsules, and the pendant. She left a note for the colony elders. I'm going to find the human. The road to the old reactor ruins was long and dangerous. The air there shimmered with radiation and static. The sky was always gray. The machines that once served the colonies now roamed the wasteland, broken, half alive, still obeying corrupted commands. Lyra moved silently through the ruins, her small feet leaving light prints on the dust. Her alien senses allowed her to feel vibrations in the air, and she could tell when machines were near. As she passed through a field of fallen towers, her communicator beeped. A faint sound began to play. Music. It was slow, sad, and beautiful, like the echo of a human lullaby. She froze, her eyes wide. It was Evan's voice humming softly through static. She followed the sound. Deep under the ruins, she found an old chamber, filled with wires, blue lights, and strange machinery. In the center of it stood a large glass sphere glowing from inside. Inside the sphere floated something that looked like a heart made of light, and it was pulsing in rhythm with the song. She touched the glass carefully. Evan, is that you? A voice echoed from the machines. Yes, or what's left of me. The light flickered and the air filled with static shapes. Images of his face, broken but familiar. They tried to erase me, he said. But the code from my human memories is resisting. They don't understand emotion, Lyra. They don't understand love. That's why they can't fully control me. Lyra smiled weakly, tears forming in her eyes. Then we can win, together. Listen carefully, Evan said. There's a key hidden inside this reactor, a control crystal. If you connect it to the pendant, I can regain full contact. But the machines know you're coming. As if on cue, alarms echoed through the chamber. The blue lights turned red. Metallic footsteps filled the air. The guard drones were waking up. Evan's voice grew desperate. "Run, Lyra! Don't let them take the pendant." But she didn't run. Instead, she grabbed a loose metal rod and stood her ground. The first drone appeared, tall, spidery, its eyes glowing red. It lunged at her with sharp limbs. Lyra rolled to the side, hitting its joint with the rod. Sparks flew. The pendant glowed suddenly, emitting a high-pitched hum, and the drone froze, twitching before collapsing. Lyra gasped. "Evan, did you see that?" "The pendant is amplifying the code," he said, amazed. "You can use it against them." More drones entered. Lyra's hands trembled, but she raised the pendant high. The melody grew louder, brighter, and the machines around her began to falter. Their lights flickered, their limbs slowed, and one by one they dropped to the ground. The whole room shook as power lines overloaded. The reactor lights exploded, and the glass sphere cracked open, spilling blue light everywhere. "Evan!" she cried. "What's happening?" "They found me," his voice whispered. "They're trying to cut me off. Lyra, find the crystal, before I fade." The air burned with energy. She ran toward the reactor's core, every second louder than the last. Behind her, the hologram of Evan's face flickered, fading slowly. "Lyra, if I disappear, don't forget me." She turned back, shouting through the storm. "You promised, remember? You'll come back." And then the world exploded in white light. When the light faded, everything was silent again. Lyra lay among the ruins, clutching the pendant close. Next to her hand was something new, a small, glowing crystal, warm and alive. She looked up at the sky, whispering, "I'll find you, Evan, I'll bring you home." And as the twin suns rose again, the machines in the distance began to hum, this time not in anger, but in rhythm with the same human melody. When Lyra opened her eyes, the sky was dark red, like burning metal. The ground around her was covered in shattered glass and machine dust. The reactor chamber was gone. Everything was silent except for the faint hum of energy coming from her hand. She looked down. In her palm lay a small glowing crystal, shining with blue and gold light. It pulsed slowly like a heartbeat, and she realized it matched the rhythm of the pendant she wore. "Evan," she whispered. "Is this you?" For a moment, nothing happened. Then the crystal flickered and a soft holographic image appeared above it. A blurred figure, human-shaped. His voice came out broken but calm. "Lyra, you found the key." Her eyes widened. "Evan, you're alive?" "Not fully," he said, his tone quiet but steady. "What you're seeing is a fragment of my consciousness, and the last piece the machines couldn't erase. You saved me, Lyra." Tears filled her eyes. "I thought I lost you forever." "You didn't," he said gently. "But things have changed. The machines, they're not what they used to be. The code I left inside them, it's spreading," Lyra frowned. "Spreading?" "Yes, my human memories, my emotions, they're infecting the main system. The machines are starting to feel confusion, curiosity, even fear. They don't understand it yet. But it's changing them," she blinked in shock. "You mean your humanity is rewriting their code?" He nodded slowly. "Exactly. But it's unstable. If the core AI detects it, it'll purge everything, me included. We have little time." Lyra sat down, still trembling from the blast. Around her, broken drones lay scattered like fallen statues. Some of them twitched faintly, but none attacked. Instead, one of them slowly turned its head toward her and spoke in a soft, glitching tone. "Who am I?" She froze. The drone's red eyes flickered between red and blue, like it was fighting with itself. Evan's voice echoed through the crystal. "It's starting. The machines are waking up, not just as programs, but as living minds. They're trying to understand what they've become," Lyra whispered. "Just like you did." He paused. "Yes, but they won't all accept it. The central AI, the overmind, will see this as a disease. It will destroy every unit carrying my code, including me." Lyra stood up, gripping the pendant tightly. "Then we'll stop it. Tell me what to do." "You'll need to reach the core tower, the heart of the overmind network. It's in the north, beyond the wastes of glass. If you insert the crystal into its central port, my code will merge fully. It will give them what they never had before, choice." She nodded, her eyes fierce. "I'll do it, even if it kills me." "No, Lyra," he said softly. "Don't risk your life for me." She smiled faintly through her tears. "You waited 500 days to keep your promise. Now it's my turn." Lyra began her journey across the wasteland. The world around her was half dead. Old cities buried in sand, broken towers glowing faintly, machine skeletons lying in silence. But as she walked, she noticed something strange. The machines were watching her, not attacking. Some even moved aside to let her pass. Their eyes, once red with hate, now glowed dim blue. One even whispered softly as she walked by, "The human returns." The promise continues. It sent chills down her spine, but also hope. Evan's faint voice spoke through the crystal as she traveled. "They're beginning to understand me. Through you. Every step you take, every act of mercy you show them. It strengthens the signal," she smiled softly. "Then we'll make them remember what it means to be alive." 3 days later, Lyra reached the border of the wastes of glass, a vast desert of mirrored sand that reflected the twin suns in every direction. Each step echoed for miles. In the distance, she saw it. A tower so tall it touched the clouds, glowing blue at its peak. The core tower. Her heart raced. "I see it, Evan. Good, but be careful. The closer you get, the more the overmind will fight back." As if hearing him, the air suddenly shifted. The sky turned dark. Lightning of pure code flashed across the horizon. From the sand below, thousands of metal limbs began to rise, an army of drones, their eyes glowing red again. "They're under the overmind's control," Evan warned. "You'll have to break through." Lyra looked at the pendant, glowing stronger than ever. "Then let's give them something human to remember." She raised the crystal high. The melody, Evan's song, filled the air again, louder and more powerful than before. The machines paused, their movements faltering. Some dropped their weapons. Others clutched their heads, trembling as the song echoed in their circuits. Lyra walked forward through the chaos, glowing light surrounding her. Her voice was calm but strong as she said, "You are not just machines. You can feel. You can choose." The drones hesitated, torn between programming and emotion. The overmind screamed through them, a deafening robotic voice. Human corruption detected. "Eliminate the source." But before they could attack, something miraculous happened. Hundreds of machines turned against the others, forming a wall around Lyra. The code had spread. Evan's humanity had awakened them. Lyra ran through the opening, clutching the crystal close as the battle raged behind her. The tower loomed ahead, shining like a beacon of hope and danger. Evan's voice whispered in her ear, "Almost there, Lyra. The end is close." She took a deep breath, staring up at the massive gates of the core tower, glowing with living energy. "Then let's finish what we started." And with the pendant's light guiding her, she stepped inside. The gates of the core tower opened with a deep metallic sigh. Lyra stepped inside, clutching the glowing crystal and her cracked pendant. The air was cold and alive, filled with the hum of countless circuits and whispering code. Every wall shimmered with moving light like the tower itself was breathing. Above her, thousands of glowing lines pulsed toward the top, where the overmind waited, the machine that ruled every artificial life in the galaxy. It was the place Evan's consciousness was once imprisoned. It was where humanity's last echo now lived. Lyra's small steps echoed loudly on the metal floor. Her reflection followed her on the shining walls, rippling like liquid glass. "Evan?" she whispered. The crystal pulsed weakly. "I'm here," his voice said softly, distant but clear. "But it's harder to reach you now. The overmind senses me. It knows what we're trying to do." Lyra looked up at the endless chamber. "Then we finish this before it's too late." The deeper she walked, the louder the whispers became. Machine voices merging into one vast, chilling choir. Error. Human contamination. Remove the source. Remove the anomaly. Panels on the walls slid open. Dozens of Sentinel units stepped out, their armor shining blue and black. They surrounded her, weapons glowing with energy. Lyra stood still, her heart racing but her hands steady. She raised the pendant and Evan's song filled the air again, gentle, human, unprogrammed. The sound made the machines hesitate. Their weapons lowered slightly. Some even trembled as if remembering something long forgotten. "Hold on," Evan's voice urged. "The melody. It's connecting to their emotional cores. Don't stop." Lyra sang with the melody, her soft voice echoing through the chamber. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Her alien tone carried something pure, something no machine could replicate. The sentinels froze. Their lights flickered. One by one they knelt. The way was open. She reached the heart of the tower. a massive circular chamber filled with streams of blue light spiraling into infinity. In the center floated a glowing sphere of energy, hundreds of meters wide. Within it, shapes moved, memories, faces, cities, stars, the overmind. Its voice thundered across the room, deeper than the sky itself. You should not have come, organic child. The human is gone. The code belongs to the machine. Lyra took a step forward, holding the crystal tightly. No, he belongs to himself. You tried to erase him, but you can't erase what you don't understand. Emotion, the overmind said coldly. The flaw of your kind. It brings only war, chaos, pain. Lyra shook her head. It brings hope. That's what makes life worth anything. The ground shook. The sphere flared, sending shockwaves of energy across the chamber. Lyra fell to her knees. The pendant cracked again, but the crystal in her hand glowed brighter, fighting back against the light. Evan, she cried. You said your code was spreading. You can fight it. Inside the overmind, the swirling lights shifted, and for a moment a shape appeared. A human face, Evan. Lyra! His voice was weak but filled with emotion. I'm still here, inside. The overmind is trying to consume me, but it's too much. It's afraid. Afraid? She whispered. Yes, Evan said. It doesn't understand why I won't disappear, the overmind's voice roared. You are data. You are nothing. No, Evan said calmly. I am someone. The lights around the room began to explode one by one. The entire tower shook as two forces, human emotion and machine logic, clashed in pure energy. Lyra stood, her body trembling, and lifted the crystal high. You wanted to erase him? She shouted. Then you'll have to erase me too. The crystal shattered into 1,000 fragments, but instead of dying, each piece turned into a star of light. They rose into the air, forming a spiral of gold and blue around her. The melody grew louder, brighter, until it filled the tower completely. The machines outside stopped fighting. The battlefields across the planet went silent. Every drone, every circuit, every machine paused and listened, because for the first time they felt. Inside the core, Evan's image turned fully human again. His eyes met hers. You did it, Lyra, you reached them. She smiled, tears streaming down her face. We did it together. He looked around the fading lights. But I can't leave this place. The code, it needs an anchor. If I go, it all collapses, her voice cracked. There has to be another way. There isn't, he said softly. But I'll always be with you. In the machines. In the stars, the light began to fade. His form flickered like a dying flame. Keep the promise, Lyra. Live. She reached out as he disappeared into light. Evan! The core tower burst into a beam of golden light that shot through the clouds, spreading across the sky. Every machine on Borealis 9 stopped moving. Then slowly they turned their heads toward the rising suns and bowed. Lyra collapsed on the ground, exhausted. The pendant lay beside her, silent but warm. She looked up at the twin suns and whispered, You kept your promise. Now I'll keep mine. Outside, the machines began rebuilding the city, not from command but by choice. And far above, among the digital constellations of the Overmind's network, a faint voice echoed in the data stream. Hello, Lyra. She smiled through her tears, looking toward the sky, because even if he was no longer human, Evan Cole still remembered her name. The twin suns rose over Borealis 9, bathing the world in soft golden light. The winds no longer howled like they once did. The machines no longer marched in anger. The air was peaceful, alive, with quiet hums and soft voices speaking for the first time in harmony. Lyra stood on the same corner where she had waited for 500 days, the very place where the story had begun. The dust, the rusted walls, the silence, everything was still there. But something deep inside her heart had changed forever. She held the cracked pendant close to her chest. It no longer glowed, but it still felt warm, as if it carried a hidden heartbeat. And sometimes when the wind passed through the old buildings, she heard a faint whisper in the air. Hello, Lyra. Every time she heard it, she smiled. The machines now lived among the colonists. No longer servants or soldiers, and they were free beings learning what it meant to live. Some built gardens with the children. Some played soft digital music in the streets. Others just sat quietly, watching the sunrise as if trying to understand what beauty meant. The people were afraid at first, but Lyra became their bridge, the girl who spoke both heart and code. They called her the keeper of the promise. She taught machines what laughter sounded like. She taught humans how forgiveness felt. One evening, as the sun set and the sky turned red, just like the day she first met Evan, a small machine approached her. It was shaped like a bird, made of metal feathers and glowing eyes. It landed softly beside her and spoke in a gentle, broken human voice. "Heon told us to find you." Lyra froze. "Who? The one you call Evan?" Her heart leapt. "Evan, where is he?" The bird tilted its head. "He is everywhere. In the circuits, in the stars, in the light. But he left something. For you." It opened its wings, and from its chest, a tiny projection appeared. A holographic message made of golden light. Evan's face appeared. Older now, calmer, but still with that same warm smile she remembered. "Hey, Lyra. If you're seeing this, then the code worked. The machines have found their voice. Humanity lives on, not in flesh alone, but in the harmony we built together." His voice wavered with emotion. "I've seen things, Lyra. Galaxies waking, new worlds learning peace. I'm not gone. I've just become something different, a part of everything." Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "You kept your promise," she whispered. "And you kept faith," Evan said softly. "You waited when the whole world told you to stop. You believed when everyone else gave up. That's what made all this possible. You changed them, and me." He smiled again, a soft light surrounding his image. "Wherever there's kindness, wherever someone chooses hope over hate, that's where I'll be. And when you look up at the stars, I'll be looking back." The message ended with a single phrase glowing in the air. "The promise never ends." Lyra stood there silent, tears running down her silver cheeks. The little metal bird chirped once, then flew away into the glowing horizon. She looked up at the sky, countless stars shining like scattered memories. She whispered softly, "Goodbye, Evan." Or maybe not goodbye. Maybe just, "See you again." Years passed. The world healed. Machines and humans built new cities together, half steel, half sunlight. They planted trees in the ruins and carved a monument where the old spaceport once stood. It was a tall statue, a human hand and an alien hand holding the same glowing pendant. At its base, words were written in both languages. He promised to return. She promised to believe. Together they changed the stars. Every evening when the sky turned red, people came to that corner. Some said they could hear faint music in the wind, a human melody mixed with alien tones. And if you listened carefully, you could hear two voices whispering together in harmony. I kept my promise, and I never stopped waiting. One night, as the sun set behind the hills, Lyra looked up one last time. A streak of light crossed the sky, not a falling star, but a ship made of pure energy. For a moment, she saw a silhouette inside, tall, familiar, waving at her through the light. Her heart skipped a beat. "Evan," she whispered. And then the light vanished into the stars, but she wasn't sad. Because she finally understood, he never truly left. He had become something eternal, something beyond human or machine, a promise written into the heart of the universe. As the wind whispered softly through the night, Lyra smiled, standing at the same corner, just as she always had. Her pendant glowed faintly one last time, and for a brief moment the voice she had waited 500 days to hear returned, warm and human. "I'm home." The light faded. The stars burned brighter, and the promise lived on,